Hey you guys, today we're going to go through the fastest growing plants in my rare Aroid collection. So we're going to go one by one and we're going to start at the slower side and go to the faster. Keep in mind all of these are the fastest growing plants I have. They're all great growers, but I'm going to leave the best for last. So first up is the Anthurium warocqueanum, aka the Queen Esmeraldans. I'm going to butcher all these names, of course, because they're Latin, so bear with me. Kind of the longest boy I have and has been growing crazy fast in Leca. I don't think the camera's picking it up, but it has this crazy shimmer in the leaves. And I'm just such a big fan of this like almost velvety like Anthurium. To be honest, I've been really struggling with Anthuriums and the spider mites. That's been my biggest downside to caring for Anthuriums. But once they get established and get acclimated to having the right humidity and warmth, they really take off and start growing fast. And that's why I've brought this one into the video, is because the queen of the Anthuriums, I mean, look at this leaf. She's just really has taken off in growing lots of new shoots. This is a pretty new leaf, but she does get some leaf damage, not the right amount of humidity. And she'll end up getting some spider mite damage, but to kick it off, big fan of the Anthurium warocqueanum esmeraldans. Pretty close to the normal queen. I actually don't know the difference, maybe someone does, but big fan of this plant. Okay, next up is another jungle plant. This is the Philodendron rubrocinctum. If you remember a few videos back, I did it about this plant and I brought her into this video because look at this new shoot. This has pretty much come out all this week. And I swear at the start of this week, it was down here. And it's about a little over a foot long. Just a big fan of this jungly, kind of central South American growing plant. Doing fabulous in Leca. You just don't really get leaves unfurling at this size, unlike other big Monsteras and some of these Philodendrons. I found even the Anthuriums, they kind of come out as smaller leaves and then almost like enlarging. I just love how this plant puts out the leaf kind of at the size it's gonna be. So Philodendron rubrocinctum, strong, healthy, vigorous plant, grows very fast. Okay, don't let the size of this one fool you. This is the Philodendron asperatum. It's got the fuzzy petiole, which I know a lot of you like. It's starting to grow on me. Has a really cool ribbed leaf, kind of like the rubrocinctum I just had up here. But this plant is growing really fast. Also, again, another jungly variety out of the Philodendron family. I'm guessing probably like Central South America as origin for this guy. But just a big fan of how well it roots and propagates, and then how fast it grows. Also, spider mite resilient. Honestly, you have to be pretty spider mite resilient to make this list, just because if you can't handle a little spider mites, then what are you doing in a tropical houseplant garden? It's gonna be tough. So Philodendron asperatum. Okay, next up is Philodendron Majestic. I've got this one in moss and some perlite mixture, kind of like an aroid mix. It's doing great and putting out tons of shoots. Look at all these different growth points, maybe 3 or 4 on this. And this is Philodendron Majestic, a cross of Sodiroi and Verrucosum, I believe. Very vigorous plant. Big fan of the coloring on these leaves. I haven't exactly got down the nutrition, and you're seeing a little bit of burning here. So remember that when you're taking care of plants, you're not always gonna have super perfect plants. Like down here, I've got some browning. I didn't prune any of these plants up before the video just to kind of show you what it's actually like. I'm always gonna look to that new growth to see how I'm doing though. And the new growth is happy. So whatever's going on down here, remember, are the oldest leaves. And I can't correct this. This will never change back to all green and be happy. So look at your top new growth for what's going on with the plant currently. The Majestic just hits on my fast growing list because it's vigorous and it has a lot of branching growth points. Not a lot of plants branch like this. And I guess the Verrucosum probably brings in that vigorousness of this plant. And you get that red back on the leaves, which comes from the Verrucosum. I pray it's Verrucosum because I might be wrong about that, but I do believe it is. And then the silvering fleck comes from the Sodiroi. Philodendron Majestic, next up on fast growers. We're really getting to very fast growers now. I think it wouldn't be fair if I didn't include one of the fastest growing plants I know, the Albo, or the borsigiana deliciosa, however you want to call it. Like, look at these shoots coming out. Incredibly fast growing, gorgeous coloring. Look at this aerial root coming off there. I don't need to say much about the Albo. You guys know about it. I talk about it a lot. I've got a bunch behind me here. But the Monstera Albo is one of the fastest growing plants. They're so easy to take care of, so vigorous, just rarely upset. Just don't overwater them. Don't give your plant root rot. That's the number one thing we've been seeing with customers, is people just rotting out these roots. They have a huge, thick root mass, and it doesn't have to be watered all that often. So we keep it in leca, water it once a day. Just hand water it, that's fine. If you want to water it once a week, I have a few over here that I'm testing. 50% leca, 50% perlite, and I water it twice a week. So I water on Mondays and then I water on Thursday night. So that's about every 3 days. So super fast growing Monstera, that's where it gets the name. It is the monster plant, very vigorous, great plant. Now we're really moving here. These are some of the fastest growing tropical houseplants you can buy. Next up is this beast of a plant that's recently already been cut, but as you can tell, just a bushy, vigorous plant. Philodendron, not Majestic, Philodendron Splendid. This is a cross of Philodendron Melanochrysum and that Verrucosum, I believe, again. That's gonna give it that crazy vigor. And again, that red backing behind the leaves. Philodendron Splendid, a hybrid. Maybe, I'm not exaggerating, like 12 to 15 active growth points on this plant. And I've cut it many, many times. And again, I didn't prune this plant ahead of the video. So look, I do have like brown tips down here at the edges. I've found that when this comes in contact with another tray or another plant and it has water on it after I water, it will kind of start to blacken or brown off. So keep that in mind when you're taking care of a lot of plants. But also always look at your newest growth. This plant is healthy. It's putting out brand new leaves all of the time. So I know that overall, even though spider mites love this plant, it's very healthy. I mean, look at the size of it. And its roots are already coming out of the bottom. So huge fan of the Philodendron Splendid. My only downside of it is that it is a spider mite trap. If you've got a velvety leaf, you probably have spider mites. You might not know it, but keep an eye out for spider mites. All right, another philodendron fast grower. The philodendrons honestly became one of my favorites in the last few weeks. I've historically always loved monsteras, but philodendrons have just kind of taken the award for, I don't know, maybe we're hitting a stride together. I'm figuring out the plant better. But this is Heartleaf Variegata, aka Opal, O-P-A-L. This is a very beautiful plant, and I've cut the hell out of it, honestly, recently to create cuttings. But this has been a very bushy plant, and it just always regrows. Pretty stable variegation, what I found. Some little bit of sporting. I need to cut this shoot back. But overall, very vigorous plant. Tons of adventitious roots. Plants are making it into this list because they grow fast, they propagate fast, they're just a vigorous plant. I wanted to title this video the most vigorous plants I have, but fast growing works and captures that. But all of these plants are very vigorous, they have vigor. And that's honestly what I'm after. A lot of these plants are also hybrids, not coincidentally, because they're experiencing something we've talked about before, which is called hybrid vigor. When you cross two parents of a plant, the next plant that comes out ends up being more vigorous and faster growing than both of the parents. Each generation gets better, right? So again, this is another very fast growing philodendron. Honestly, any of these plants are great go-tos. Choose any of them. They all grow super fast and are very, very healthy and fun to watch grow. So philodendron, Heartleaf Variegata, aka Opal. Okay, say what you will about the Syngoniums, but they grow like damn weeds. This is Pink Splash Syngonium and is absolutely full with, I don't know, 5, 6 different growth points. Tons of stems, great coloring, very stable. The Syngonium title is being shared by the Pink Splash, the Albo, which again, this plant has been cut back tons of times. This all started just from one cutting maybe 3 or 4 months ago. Loves leca. She's sharing it with the Syngonium Aurea, This one is really beautiful. Trying to get a nice leaf for you. There you go. Really see the color on there. Again, I've cut the hell out of this one, and she's coming back. A lot of new growth points in there. Loving Leca. And finally, the Syngonium Mojito. Don't blame her. I chopped her like 3 days ago. That's why she's sad, but she's still putting out new shoots all over the place. Syngoniums, some people like them. I love them, honestly. They're super easy to grow, very forgiving, huge root masses, and they have really pretty colors. Pretty stable variegation. The Albo can revert sometimes, but they're very pretty for a bit, and you can always cut them back to that original stem to get that variegation to come back again. And I can't believe I almost forgot the Buono Philodendron. I mean, look at this damn plant. It's humongous. Very, very vigorous. Super fast growing. I mean, whenever you actively have a shoot coming out, kind of all the time, you know it's a fast growing plant. Great aerial roots down there. Look at these guys. And also another tip, just whenever you see the leaf sleeve, just pull off the leaf sleeve. It's like a black brown little part when the plant will start to unfurl. And I found it's a source of stem rot. So this guy right here, it's kind of yellowing. When the new shoot comes out, where this is coming from, I'll just gently peel that down and away. That's just a little hack that I've learned to avoid stem rot. But another super fast grower, this is probably the top grower almost, we're almost there, for the title of fastest growing aroid in here. But Buono, right at the top for just, I mean, pretty sure that's bigger than my head. But as I spill leca everywhere, this is a beautiful plant. I think she's a cut of a cut of a cut that I have here. So many mothers have been made from this plant. Very healthy, very happy plant. Buono, Philodendron. I have to give this plant the winning prize of the fastest growing aroid in here. This is the Philodendron Burle Marx, or Burle Marx, I don't know, Variegata. So incredibly vigorous. I chopped this plant down to the base maybe 5-10 days ago, and I put up a picture on the community YouTube, and I'll put that up here, where just before I cut it, it was lush like a bush. I chopped it down to the base, and in like 5 days, we already have all this new growth. Maybe 7 days, but just a bushy plant, roots very fast, doesn't need much, puts out really pretty foliage. I'm a fan of this kind of Aurea yellow kind of splotching. Look at how cool this leaf is. Almost like camo. But yes, Burle Marx Variegata. Burle Marx Variegata wins the prize for the fastest growing aroid in here. Again, all of these are the top tier. I think we have like 70 to 90 varieties of different plants back here. All Monstera, Philodendron, and Anthurium, and some Syngonium. But of those, these 10 or so plants are the fastest growing ones, and you literally cannot go wrong with any of them. As I said about spider mites, keep an eye out for that. But they all grow fast, they all propagate fast, and I would suggest any of them, honestly. Thanks you guys so much for watching this week's video. If you did enjoy the video or learn something new, please do me a favor and click the like button down below, or click subscribe. It's free to subscribe and it helps us out a lot. And we're happy to make these videos each week for you guys about rare plants and how to grow them. So check back in next Saturday for another video, and we'll see you then. Have a good day.